He's a family man, grandfather, retired factory worker, a volunteer girls softball umpire, and also a killer. But is Daniel Furlong a serial killer? Tonight we're learning more about the man who recently pleaded guilty to killing 11-year-old Jodi Perrick 8 years ago. A man now being eyed for kidnapping a decade before that. Target 8 investigator Ken Kolker is here with this story.
Yeah, Marley, as we told you at 6, the police focus now is on whether Furlong is responsible for the disappearance of 6-year-old Brittany Beers 18 years ago in Sturgis, something that would not surprise those who finally really know him.
I thought he's a monster. He put a bag over her head and waited for her to die. That's not the person I knew.
Daniel Furlong's neighbor in White Pigeon was among those at first withholding judgment when he was accused of luring a 10-year-old girl into his garage in August, 8 years after Jodi Perrick was raped and killed. Only this time, unlike Jodi, this little girl escaped.
There was nothing that would make you think that this man was capable.
As the 65-year-old Furlong stood before District Judge Jeffrey Middleton, charged only with that August kidnapping, his family stood with him.
His family and friends all came to the hearing thinking there must be some sort of mistake. This isn't the guy we knew. This isn't the guy from our car club. This isn't the guy we worked with. And they were very supportive.
Then came DNA connecting Furlong to Jodi's murder in 2007, and his confession, his awful detailed confession, that he lured the little neighborhood girl into his garage in Constantine, raped her, suffocated her with a plastic bag, and dumped her in a cemetery.
And it pulled the rug out of all the supporters, the thinking, you know, how did this happen? It must be a mistake. And now they had to get their mind around the fact that this wasn't a mistake. In fact, he killed a young girl.
But this was no stranger standing before Judge Middleton, who for years was the county's prosecutor. The judge and Furlong grew up around the corner from each other in Three Rivers, went to the same high school.
They were a nice family, had a well-kept home, had a bathtub virgin in the backyard, and no, they seemed like a middle-class, small-town Three Rivers family when I was 10 years old.
Furlong became a family man himself, blending into Constantine, living in a home maybe 500 feet from the police department. Never an arrest. He and his wife raised 3 kids.
They were good
kids. They really were. They were outstanding kids to us. I mean,
they were polite and
very respectful.
Yeah.
He did factory work, finally taking a buyout about 10 years ago from American Axle in Three Rivers. And he was a volunteer Little League umpire in Constantine, mostly for girls softball.
As parents and coaches, obviously I coach too, and you know, you watch people. I mean, you know, for red flags and things like that. But
did you see any with him?
No. Now you wonder. You know, you wonder if there was some ulterior motives.
His only quirk, friends and neighbors say, is he sometimes told big lies, like when he said he was dying of cancer.
Yeah, but he was noted for telling these tall tales, and we don't know why.
Furlong barely left a paper trail, though we did find that he and his wife were going through bankruptcy at the time Jodi was killed. Records show more than $170,000 in debt. In 2011, 4 years after Jodi was killed, Furlong and his wife moved 5 miles away to a mobile home park in White Pigeon.
So I'm watching his grandkids playing with him outside. Yeah.
I mean, what'd you think?
Typical grandfather.
Then came the attack in August in his garage, the DNA test, and the confession. 2 hauntingly similar crimes 8 years apart.
It certainly raises red flags for law enforcement, I'm sure it does.
Like what happened in between?
Yes.
And what happened before?
Yes.
So we can find this little girl?
Police say they're focusing on the disappearance of 6-year-old Brittany Beers in 1997 from Sturgis, apparently snatched not far from home. She's never been found. Police say a composite of a man last seen talking to Brittany looks a lot like Furlong. Now they're trying to connect him to Sturgis. They say his brother lived there, but that his brother had nothing to do with him. Target 8 also found he had a sister in Sturgis in the 1990s, living for a time around the corner from where Brittany disappeared. Would it surprise you if it turned out he was a serial killer?
I guess I'd have to say no.
Now, we reached out to Furlong's wife, children, and his sister and brothers, but nobody wanted to talk. Sturgis police told us today that they hope to interview Furlong in the next week or two about Brittany's disappearance.
Boy, Ken, it's chilling to think. You wonder what this guy was up to in between these years that no one can account for his actions. And are the police looking at him for any other particular cases?
Not at this point, but you do wonder, I mean, starting at something like this at the age of 57 and then 8 years, 65, I mean, there are a lot of questions.
The experts would say that's unusual.
I would think so.
Yeah. Okay. Ken Kolker. Thank you, Ken.